How does $620 million move through diplomatic accounts between midnight and dawn and clear in under 5 minutes without triggering alarms? You're in the right place. Today we unpack the consulate basement that wasn't a basement at all. A nerve center with real-time shipment trackers, encrypted burners, and $180 million set aside just to reboot if caught. Stay with me as we map the 78 uninspected shipments, the 6 Sinaloa intermediaries on U.S. soil, and the exact indicators customs missed. By the end, you'll see why the most dangerous drug routes carry official stamps. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Why would a consulate need a bunker-level room with live shipment trackers and backup servers? That question sits under everything that followed. Investigators didn't walk into a dusty storage area. They breached a reinforced door hidden behind a false ventilation cover and stepped into a space that had its own power, its own climate control, and its own sound-dampened shell. The layout wasn't improvised. It was engineered for continuous uptime, and the inventory on the floor told the story before anyone opened a single drive. They counted 21 sealed bricks of high-grade cocaine stacked in a crate that fit the stairwell's dimensions. A floor-bolted safe held $5.8 million in wrapped bundles, each stack coded, each bundle logged against a ledger number that matched entries on a nearby terminal. Racks of encrypted burners sat in labeled rows, active units warm to the touch, standby units tagged by date and intended handler. A narrow stairwell, hardly wide enough for 2 people to pass, led down to a room that ran like a command post. Not storage, mission space. Diplomats handle visas, not vessel traffic. Yet along the wall, screens pulled live AIS data showing cargo ships in the Gulf and the Atlantic. Another display cycled airway bills by carrier and route, with expected offload times down to the minute. A far monitor showed berthing schedules from a half-dozen ports, slot allocations highlighted when a window lined up. The map wasn't decorative. It was punctured with pins and tape marks labeled as 78 clean corridors, each corridor tied to a shipment ID and a date range. That's not public relations. That's synchronization. Why didn't inspections kill this? Diplomatic consignments move under a different set of rules. Ports flag them as protected by immunity norms. That doesn't make them untouchable, but it lowers the odds of a search unless someone higher authorizes it. Customs officers know the cost of a bad call. So the default is courtesy, speed, and minimal handling. If you know how those lanes behave, you can model the risk and drive straight through. The basement built that model. On the back bench, the tech stack told you who they expected to fight. A satellite feed pulled commercial imagery and maritime overlays that matched ship positions to weather and patrol gaps. Passive RFID reads from devices near ports populated a dashboard when tagged containers or courier bags passed choke points. A private ledger logged every route, each entry ending with a coded marker. Green for corridor clear, yellow for escort required, red for changeout needed. They mirrored the drives nightly to a backup server cooled by an independent unit, and the mirrored set lived behind a separate power strip to survive a quick kill of the main. Comms discipline kept the room quiet but busy. Handlers rotated burners on a matrix so contacts never reused a line outside a preset window. Scripts sat ready for anyone making a status call. Short, simple, hard to improvise under stress. During movement windows, 5-minute check-ins hit a clock on the wall, not a calendar on a laptop. If something failed, a cold start playbook walked the team from dark to live with new numbers, new routes, and a fallback courier set. The binders on the top shelf carried the biggest tell. Restart scenarios listed replacement shell companies, substitute intermediaries, and legal fronts by jurisdiction. Next to that, they logged a contingency reserve north of $180 million. It was labeled for asset swaps, rapid counsel, and relaunch costs. That's not petty cash. That's continuity funding. So the consulate didn't act as camouflage. It functioned as the logistics brain. The screens cued the routes, the phones held the scripts, the ledgers tracked risk, and the servers kept the memory warm. With command and comms locked in, the real question tightens to movement. How did the money and cargo slip past systems built to stop them? Follow the midnight timeline. Why did transfers hit between midnight and dawn and clear in under 5 minutes? That span cut across shift changes at banks, low-traffic windows on payment rails, and the quiet hours at port admin desks. Money moved when human attention dipped and automated risk models took the wheel. Those bursts didn't just fund cargo. They unlocked berths, paid pilots, and signaled ground teams while the city slept. Over 3 years, $620 million pulsed in waves. Not a steady flow, bursts tied to movement windows. You'd see a spike 48 to 72 hours before a vessel's scheduled arrival or a freighter's roll-on slot. The pattern wasn't random. A Tuesday night burst in the Gulf matched a Thursday morning load-in at Mombasa. A Saturday dawn push in New York lined up with a Monday airway bill cycle in Doha. Each pulse hit a layered stack of accounts, small slices into many, then consolidated into a freight payment, a port fee, or a fuel prepay. By the time the cargo crossed, the ledger looked like a week of normal business. Banks flag anomalies. Ports scan containers. Nothing tripped because the network wore the most protective jacket available. Diplomatic status merged with disciplined routing. Consular references on vendor files lowered the risk profile. The routing avoided hot lanes and favored corridors with established no-inspection habits. The math was harsh and simple. If paperwork matched the template and the sender sat inside a whitelisted group, the system sped it through. The architecture ran wide rather than tall. 34 entities spread across the US, East Africa, and the Gulf carried the load, each with its own narrow mission. Some invoiced cultural exchanges, others billed for humanitarian logistics. 6 intermediaries with Sinaloa ties sat 2 steps back, buffered by contractors that had consular letters on file. None of them moved the whole chain. Each handled a slice, blind to the rest. Funds hopscotched through couriers on paper, but banks saw clean contractors. Payments funded outreach events that never happened, training seminars that existed only in a calendar, and transport line items that matched known routes. From there, the money fell straight into freight costs, drayage, special handling, reefer plugins, overtime at terminals. The bills looked like any mid-tier NGO or cultural office managing busy schedules. Real-time payment rails did the rest. If an account sat on a correspondent network with pre-cleared profiles, a transfer could settle in minutes. Risk models whitelisted accounts once compliance cleared the initial setup, so subsequent microbursts raised no alarms. At night, when batch processes recalculated exposure, the total still matched expected ranges because each burst stayed under soft thresholds and dispersed across multiple nodes. The cadence repeated. Before dawn, transfers landed. By first light, carriers saw funds and green-lit release orders. Pre-advice messages hit port ops, and staffing favors slid into place with 19 officials across several jurisdictions. A terminal manager kept a gate open. A customs liaison filed a pre-clear note. A tug crew came on early to pull a ship into a slot that looked routine on the board. No shouting, no rush, just a quiet move into a window.